quality to we sweet, sweet mama salute. Now we all come together as well for tomorrow. Now we go make salute. Anytime where you there, it no matter. Anytime where you be, it no matter. Anything you they do, it no matter. Oh yeah, it no matter. Now we putting up stronger one inside Sierra Leone, like a big quantity. We breeze not a shame. TPP TV, talking points platform. Then they give you information about salute.
Yes, family, now welcome back to yet another very important segment where they can through the Talking Point platform. My name is Mohamed Kabo, and today is the 3rd of January 2021. And I want to use this opportunity for wish you all happy new year and wish you good health and prosperity. Today, we get an incredibly interesting program where they can talk about hypertension. This now a very serious disease around the world. Even WHO, whether the World Health Organization, don't see this particular disease as one of the worst disease of humanity, and they even term it for be a silent killer. More than 1 billion people around the world, then they suffer from hypertension. That is one. Secondly, then these statistics, the people over there suffer much on hypertension, then they're developing countries like Salone, some part of Asia, and some part of the Middle East. And again, in we own country, Salone, according to some research, more than 44% of the people in the country, they suffer from hypertension. So this is very scary. But in as much as this is dangerous, there is a way where you can manage them. Therefore, today we get the privilege for we able to get we own Sierra Leonean sister, Professor HADJAKHADIJAH JALLOH, for can tell we how we for able to manage hypertension. So without wasting much time, we go straight to the point and welcome Professor HADJAKHADIJAH. Professor, you can greet people who are listening around the world.
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are in the world. I say hello to una all. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm honored.
All right, thank you very much. Now we go straight to the point. First thing, tell me, what is now hypertension?
Well, hypertension now a disease where they affect people the pressure inside how you actually pump. So for most people it can be high, where we call them a problem, hypertension, and for some people it can be low. Numbers then they look at when they measure the blood pressure and determine whether your blood pressure they normal or whether your blood pressure they high or they low. But one of the biggest problems that they get right now, we they more at the high blood pressure, where we call hypertension, and that's what they can talk about.
How dangerous this particular sick in terms of fatality rates?
I can go into some statistics that where I get NIASO as far as WHO go. So the World Health Organization get the mortality rates for, in general, non-communicable diseases at 33%. So that include hypertension, any heart disease, and 14% of all the deaths in the country related to cardiovascular disease, which hypertension are one of them. Some studies then don't look at the prevalence of hypertension and determine that a proper education or structured education will help people then for manage hypertension.
Now, the field of medicine, not a broad area, and something must move you for choose this particular area where you specifically they mention about how to manage hypertension. What's another thing where really move you for go into this area?
Well, the main thing for me is a family history of hypertension. We don't get a loss of family member for hypertension, and we get a brother we suffered a stroke due to hypertension. And also being in the healthcare field, I see the destruction where hypertension they cause. But the most important one for me was the personal loss and the pain that I felt at the time where it happened. So I figure, well, what's going on? You know, why is this happening? Something therefore be done, Lord, we understand. Because I always believe in the first step for make we treat any condition or even address an issue, now for make we understand why it happened and how we manage them. So that's what lead me way for going to this topic. And I study and I did a project on an interdisciplinary project, which just means I involve other people then at the healthcare team when I like dietitian, therefore help me for understand how we can better manage this disease. For me, if we can save one more person, not for end up dying for something that is preventable, then I feel like I have accomplished something. It's not an easy task, but the goal is to keep trying until everybody gets the knowledge and understand and take charge of their health or manage this condition. Because the reason is it is a manageable condition, as something where you're able to manage. So it's not like some weird disease where they say, oh, we don't know the cure, we don't know how to treat that. It is treatable, and some people, and they will even manage and to the point that they don't even need for take medication. So at that point, we want for reach, and that's the goal.
All right. In your research, you mentioned from other sources there, me and 2011, we talk about, say, Salon. About 44% of the people in the suffer from hypertension. That's not alarming statistics. However, you know, Sierra Leonean, you understand the culture of salon. Most people then believe, say, if somebody just gap and for down, you just come on our office, oh, this is a which man, or maybe then just promote her yesterday, oh, you kind of also feel bad, oh, you don't for down. And since we're not do sort of like we're not do post-mortem, how you will able to explain to this to the people and say, and therefore ignore the possibility of maybe hypertension? This is very serious.
Well, like you don't mention, there's so many misconceptions about any disease in Sierra Leone in general. But let's just begin from remember when we grew up in Sierra Leone, right? Hypertension used to be the disease of the rich people, right? People the way they attain a certain level in society. Now then they get, I remember there was even a time people that they wear that bracelets, that they sell them. They say if you wear that, you go able to manage your hypertension. There was a time we started hearing a lot from people the way that they say, oh, I don't go eat salt anymore. My doctor say I don't eat salt because of hypertension. So at the time, I mean, hypertension has been around for a very, very long time. But like maybe like 20, 30 years ago, as we grow up now, so it became this disease of the rich people. You will hear even people, ordinary citizens go tell you, say, oh, me not get money, this sticky and for people that will get money. So that's one. But then we also have this idea sometimes everything, and I'm gonna say this because I feel like when we not get answers sometimes for diseases and problems, we look for the next best thing. There has to be an explanation. And since we cannot put a scientific reasoning or explanation why something they happen, then we begin to think what other thing then will cause them. And then we started saying, oh, na supernatural, oh, na somebody na do something we make this happen to them. Because we not get the answer. It's like Salon, for example, where person die, right? They will always come and then go tell you, say, this na low left no more to God because this no know what's happening, you know, we left case God. I mean, it's a coping mechanism. Of course, I believe in God. Death is predestined by the will of Allah. You know, when the time reaches, it doesn't matter if you're in Sierra Leone, if you're in the US, wherever in the world you day, when death comes, death will take you. However, there are certain things that, you know, we do have explanation why then they happen and ways them for treat them. We not necessarily mean say the cause now somebody else do them. You get for looking to yourself first. How me as a person, as an individual, they contribute or makes this situation happen or even make the situation worse. So until we look into ourselves and understand how they contribute to this disease, then it will be a uphill battle for figure out how to solve this problem. But hypertension is not something, even when I go to salon, for example, people they say, you know, because I did a lot of presentations with nurses, they say, oh, well, like you say, now man they we like woman there, or where they get too much sexual relationship with woman there, and then they get hypertension, which is not necessarily the case. There may be a correlation with, you know, the functioning of your heart and whether you do high impact activity or whatever, and all that, but it not necessarily means saying that they cause hypertension. But one of the other things is stress does contribute to hypertension. So we therefore look into ourselves and figure out what we they contribute to make this disease become prevalent and continue.
Okay, that's very good. You touched something very important. Say, when you go salon, when I just quotes directly from what you understand, you go with some of your team for go understand about the hypertension, how una we will manage that. What are the findings where una get? What are the shocking findings, both the positive side and maybe some side where una look even so worried for even talk about?
Okay, so let me just make some correction. I did work with the interdisciplinary team. We involved 2 dietetic interns and the dietitian manager. However, they not been go with me in Sierra Leone directly. But what we would do is we had several meetings them when we go over. This place is so hot. I'm sweating. I'm sorry. So where we go over some of the different kind of foods then, because hypertension has a lot to do, managing hypertension has a lot to do with your diet after medication, right? So then since then at their own departments then they kind of work with me show them, I talk to them about the different kind of food, the way we they eat nas alone, so that when they do make the plan, it will be culturally competent to we own situation. Okay, what do they eat in America a little bit different from what do they do in salon. So we had several meetings back and forth, and then contribute the scientific data from their own part and with me own, and then we collaborate in that way. So then give me all the resources because they couldn't go with me. So me take the resources them and go and present to the community within our we suggestion in terms of managing hypertension. And we will get into that a little bit more as we go. So now that happen. As far as shocking finding, one of the for me the biggest one again is the diet. So before the pre-test, because we give the participants the way participate by the survey, we give them a pre-test for low, no side and day before they even answer the question, right? So before the intervention, which now the teaching will give them within hypertension, how for manager, which food they will for eat, they were at 25%. Okay, by the time we do the teaching and give them the same test again, their knowledge improved to 88.9%. That's very high and very significant. So to me, that was very interesting. Meaning, as much as some people then get the idea of within a hypertension and maybe how for manage them, diet, they need to correlate diet with hypertension. So that was one. And then majority of the participants in the study now man them instead of, you know, because you think it's gonna be more women than men, because you know, because of the male-female ratio, usually it's more women than men, but in Sierra Leone, it was more men than women. I mean, somebody can come up with a lot of theories why that happened. For one thing, we know how the system is set up with patriarchy. Some women, you know, get for take permission maybe from the man, and the training, the project require the participant for be educated, and we know that the men are more educated in terms of literacy than women, so we end up forgetting more men than women who participate by the study.
All right, thank you very much. One of the things where we can so worry about, because we want to know what are some of the signs or symptoms, if there is any, when it comes to hypertension. When, like, what's not the alarm bell?
Okay, so this is one thing about hypertension, and I want everyone to listen to this because this is the big deal with hypertension. For many people, even for most people, then they get symptoms for hypertension. They're basically asymptomatic, meaning they show no signs and symptoms. Most people, them, the only time then they know say they get hypertension, they're already there in what we call hypertensive crisis. Already things, if we not intervene right away, they're gonna end up having a stroke and even losing their lives. So by the time when most people then can find out it was the disease already don't progress, because hypertension in the beginning they give symptoms. Now some people them, when then they go into that hypertensive crisis, they then go begin complain of something like headache, right? A lot of people know they correlate headache to hypertension. They just think, oh, maybe I'm stressed, maybe I'm not sleep fine. They will give you a whole lot of excuses why they get that headache. They maybe then take a Tylenol. But one thing we get for pay attention to, if you don't get headache before, then you're getting headache now, and you don't take Tylenol or you don't take paracetamol or whatever one they take alone, and that headache they not go away, it continue for become severe, then that's something that needs to be checked right away. Not continue for take medicine, no more take medicine. That's one. Another thing is blurry vision. Some people then will begin to like, oh, I need to see fine, or they feel dizzy and stuff like that. So these are some of the signs, but these are later signs. So in the beginning, most people then not get any signs and symptoms. So one thing what they recommend is, if you don't reach, say, even in your 30s, in the US, for example, when you go see your doctor, any visit, whether it's a physical assessment or a routine visit or an annual visit, then they check your blood pressure. That's part of it's a routine. And then, if you're not possibly healthy, they go see doctor, you probably want to make a goal on yourself for check your blood pressure at least once every 6 months. But even if you get a family history, so if you get mama, papa, where they don't diagnose with hypertension, brother, sister, where they don't diagnose with hypertension, you probably want to check your blood pressure frequently for make sure say it is within normal limits. Now we can talk about the numbers then, but I know say most people then probably not go think about that. But usually we can want the top number below 120. And the bottom number, we want them below 80. So now we're even leaning on the lower side, because now we're not even that much of a concern with hypotension, but more of hypertension. So that's why this disease is called silent killer, because in the beginning, it need to show you signs and symptoms.
Okay, thank you. Let me just get this very clear. What are the highest, in terms of the pyramid when it comes to risk?
Okay, so you will get a family history of hypertension. They up there for risk factors. So somebody like me, are they at a high risk for hypertension? Because I get papa we get hypertension, I get mama we get hypertension, I don't get brother we get hypertension with having complications. So my risk factor for me is very high. So if you're like me, you're one of those people that need to keep your eyes open. That's one. We color as we race, as Black people, African American, then call Lenaya, or African ethnicity, your risk of hypertension is also there up there. If you obese, what they call salon fat or bump or whatever, you dey past a certain BMI, then you dey at risk for hypertension. If you get diabetes, you dey at risk for hypertension. If you get some metabolic disorder them or disease them, you dey at risk for getting hypertension. Age is another factor. As you reach in your 60s, you risk they also increase for hypertension. And people that also with poor diet, where they eat boku fat meaning like the oil, the meat, and then salt is a big deal with hypertension. People their way, and sometimes when you talk about salt, maybe we'll hit on that a little bit more. Sometimes when you talk about salt, people then they think say no man, that salt way they go take you add. Salt in general, when we say salt, I'm talking about sodium, and there are a lot of seasonings, for example, in a salon, we get that sodium inside it, or we go just call it salt for make it easy, like Maggi, like that white Maggi or jumbo Maggi or MSG now or other seasoning now. If you turn and look for sodium content, you already get sodium. Imagine that amount of sodium, they then on top of it, you they add salt back. That is a big red alert for hypertension.
All right. Now, something gets me worried here. You don't visit salon. We don't know how serious the healthcare deplorable the sector in terms of misinformation, in terms of health facility, in terms of miscommunication, in terms of high illiteracy rates. For example, UNESCO says salon more than 50% of the people they read, they know they write. Now, a challenge. Now, you don't focus your attention exclusively on managing hypertension. How you go do this, given this sort of statistics? People are able to get correct information, high level literacy rates. What are the thoughts that probably you are putting into this
So,
to manage?
does literacy affect people in comprehension, right? Absolutely, they do. But I know fee say that they for be, it can be a barrier, but you can still present information to people them with the language that they understand, so then we're able to make a difference. So they don't have to have a high level of education for me them be able for manage hypertension. If I come, I go visit you, they talk about hypertension, we talk about food them, where you for eat, fried food versus grilled food or steamed food, oil versus which type of oil, whether you go do palm or olive oil, the salt, like I just talk about, okay, this Maggi, no eat blah, blah, blah. I'm sure you go understand. You go still able to manage your hypertension. And believe it or not, a lot of people then in Sierra Leone on the ground where they try for do them best. Even the nurses that where I talk to, they do have the knowledge of what they cause hypertension and how for manage it. It's just a cultural thing that people then get for accept, say, this is something that needs to be changed. For example, rice. So rice na a staple food in Sierra Leone. That's now that we all grow up. Person can look at you, can begin tell you, say, okay, you use for eat a plate, you know, maybe your plate is, for example, this big. Now they put you rest, you flop up. You know, this is like a sizable bowl for many people. Then I say, you flop your rest, they you put your soup or whatever you eat. Then I can't tell and say, no, you can't do that, because carbohydrates, they contribute to weight gain, you know, and then weight gain, they lead to hypertension. Then now the recommendation, something called My Plate, like the US, what they recommend, the Food and Drug Administration, the less way for eat for starving for only cover your palm, just your palm. They go tell somebody that, hey, you want to kill me? That's what they used to tell me when I go salon. Hey, you want to die? So then they make that connection there, because this is something,
yes,
that's something that they used to. So I can tell and say, I understand the challenge for adapt, not to something where you go do overnight, right? If you be don't use for eat that kind plate of rice what I show you, and then they expect you for all of a sudden change them to a palm size. Now, if you're in trouble drastically, yes, I will recommend you take drastic measure, but we can start small. If I be they use that whole plate there for me rest, now we can cut them in half. You understand? Instead of we eat that whole plate there, let's try with half. Then later that half day we can cut them in half. Plus, there are other substitutes for rice where people can eat where get lower carb content, carb meaning carbohydrate. You know, you can do brown rice, or what do they call that, rough rice or whatever, where they're not processed, you don't get that much starch. You can use them instead of the regular rice and all that stuff. But then when we talk about carbs, on top of that, people do eat bread, people do eat sugar. There's so many sources. Even the plastas where they eat, you get carbohydrates, and even though now a lower content of carbohydrates. Imagine you combine all that heavy carb day, you continue for accumulate. Those are some of the problem then. So people like, but if you talk to them by a language where they will understand, then will still willingly do the one for help yourself. Because this not disease where now you get for be willing for help yourself. If you're not willing to help yourself, then you're gonna face the consequences, which is very, very tragic for many people and many family, and I can testify to that. I mean, I'm not going to go into all that because it's just too emotional, but it's going to lead to death. That's the reality and seriousness of it, and people get to understand that and be willing for make changes.
Okay, that's a very good thing. One of the things where I can just look at Sierra Leoneans, now the point where we're not able patient enough for understand certain things. And for example, salon people they're very nice, you know, he can spend a lot of money, hundreds of leones for buy fine clothes. But when it comes to health issue, someone, if you're not for done, if you're not sick, you're not a go hospital. Absolutely. It take 4, 5, 6 years. And this now one of the things where don't they affect we, even the life expectancy very low because people are not they pay attention on their health. Is there any stage where we will say pre-hypertension stage? Hello? Yeah, I think we lost Professor. Yeah. Hello, you can hear me? Yeah, Family, I think we lost Professor. All right. Okay, Family, now I think now so we go come to the end of the program. And now a pleasure for Lowibu get Professor here for can talk about this silent killer. And the program at corner, not care for can substitute doctor their advice. It just come for can raise awareness because with people and on the diner salon, plenty time, some of them will not even know the cause of them. Some man will just come on work, a kind sign OC for they die. Some man they just don't promote an office 1 week before don't die. And when you check, according to what we understand, it relates to this high level killer, where hypertension, where most times will not be the pay attention, not be the understand. But glory be to God now, they understand small as where the landed people in the camp, they can't try for explain to me. Yes, before you be going
I don't
how
know if they hear me, but me they get difficulty for hearing you. I think I lost you there for a second because of me connection. I don't know what's going on. I did try for connect back.
All right.
But right now I didn't have my phone. So hopefully, I mean the phone is not that good, but I connect this so that we go continue the conversation as I did try back for login on my computer.
All right, very good. So I was asking,
but I know the problem is I need to really hear you. So that's the problem.
Okay, it's too bad. No, but me they you loud and clear. They get me.
Hold on, let me try for login here. I'm gonna try login.
All right, family, una go bear with me because una no go afford for miss this. Very important. Very, very important for you well body one. If we only they pay small attention to well body, certain money will they can go to hospital for we spend, we not they spend. Certain simple thing and the way they do for yourself, where now just like basic understanding. So now that makes sometimes in as much as we so busy, but now we're not busy absolutely for well body because well body not empty. Your life now you want get her. So you give a protector a value. You get me now?
Okay, so I need to hear you with you they talk. I'm not sure if you hear me, but me need to hear you. But it's try for restart my computer, so I will come back on with the computer.
Me they get you loud and clear.
A 2 minutes break, and then we'll be back to continue the conversation.
All right.
Sorry, technical issues they happen.
Yeah, technical issue. So maybe we go just
play
short.
Computer they restart now. Hopefully, then they will resolve the issue. I don't think it's the network because like the same network I connect with my phone, but they just work fine. But for some reason, you need to work now the computer right now. But I'm just
Talking Points platform TPP TV. Oh yeah. We pledge with love and loyalty to we sweet mama salute. Now we all come together as well for tomorrow. Now we go make salute. Any side where you there, it no matter. Try where you be, it no matter. Anything you they do, it no matter. Oh yeah, it no matter. Now we putting up stronger one. Inside Sierra Leone, like a big continent. shame. TPP TV, talking points platform. Then they give you information about salute.
Okay.
Okay, we're live.
Yeah, good luck. We are back, viewers. We're sorry because we get some technical problems along the line, but thank God we fixed back. Just for round up, so I've been trying to wonder, given the level of information, misinformation about people, is there any stage where we will say pre-hypertension stage where people can get for aware about?
Yes, there is a pre-hypertension stage, and the only reason how you find out you get a pre-hypertension, you there at a pre-hypertension stage. Hold on, I'm just gonna share this again. So you check your blood pressure. The only way is when you go to the doctor. Now, I understand for us for diagnosing you with hypertension, you forget 3 separate reading them way elevated, done different times. Then you get the diagnosis of hypertension. However, like once your blood pressure, the top number go above 120, that consider you as a hypertensive person. And then at that time, the doctor, they keep an eye on you for monitor, for make sure say that pre-hypertension they not progress to hypertension. So there is a stage, and the only way to find out if you do monitor your blood pressure. Now we can say get a blood pressure monitor, but we know there's issues of access to healthcare, which you mentioned right before we got cut off. A lot of people, they do not get access to care. They cannot afford for buy that machine. Now I understand say there are people in Sierra Leone going around where they do weights, then go check your blood pressure, you give them whatever, I don't know how much they ask for, maybe 500 or something, and then they check your blood pressure. Or you can go to a pharmacy, then check your blood pressure. Believe it or not, there are people that are hypertensive in Sierra Leone. When they go to doctor, some doctor them, this is how sometimes the healthcare system is messed up. They need to even check their blood pressure, and this is a hypertensive patient already. But at the same time, they're prescribing them hypertensive medication without checking. I've heard this so many times, and this happened to family members. I'm like, okay, you went to see the doctor, okay, then check your blood pressure. Oh no, they're not checking my blood pressure, just give me medicine normal. Like, I don't get it, but it does happen. So people that do have access to healthcare, but you can use other means them for take again, you get for be the driver of your health. You cannot just leave it as somebody and for determine what you need for do. And I'm gonna repeat this. If you don't take anything out of this discussion, take one thing. Hypertension is manageable. Hypertension is treatable. Hypertension can even be reversed for some people then, where they go on a strict diet, follow all the dietary regulation, then lose weight, then be physically active. They don't have to, then they get to the point where they don't need for take medication.
All right, thank you very much. So what are some of the quick reminder or advice, or some of the things, the steps that we will follow when it comes to hypertension management, what we will do? Maybe like even if you have 5, because again, if you like give too much, maybe people so like maybe if you're able to give me like 5 or what people and get for the follow for manage.
Okay, let's do 5. Let's begin 1. The first thing first, for treat a problem, for manage a problem, you get for no say first, you get it right. So be vigilant about testing, what we call health promotion. Follow up with your doctor. If you already don't know, say your mama or papa don't get hypertension, no say they're at risk. If you're not black person, they're at risk. If you body fat, they're at risk. All those things. Know your risk factor. That's 1. And make sure say you see the doctor at least annually. And even if you go, they're not checking blood pressure, you tell them. Because it's your life, it's your health. You tell them, say, well, I cancel today. I need one for checking the blood pressure and tell me who's I did. So that's one thing. The second thing is where most of it is going to be about diet. So for breaking down on diets, what do they eat? 1, you get for cut down the amount of rest where they eat. The amount of rest where they eat gets a lot to do with carbohydrates. Carbohydrates turn to sugar, and that leads to weight gain. And weight gain is another risk factor for hypertension. So that's 1. 2, in terms of diet, or let's make it 3, salt. So when I say salt, I don't just mean that regular salt where you go buy, you put pan soup or pan plasat. I also mean Maggi, whether it's white Maggi, whether it's jumbo Maggi, anything where get seasoning, where it tastes a little bit salty. If you turn around every food, well, I'm not gonna say that's for salon, but most food items then get food label. If you turn around, it will tell you the sodium content, which now the salt content, and the recommendation is we for take 2 grams of sodium a day. Can you believe some food them? By the same way you eat and all, for one meal where you eat, you already don't eat you 2 grams for the day. Imagine you eat all that thing, imagine you add salt, all of that they add up. In fact, if you get hypertension, would they even recommend for even take lower than that? But if you don't take more than the 2 gram already, your risk factor is way up there. And then as far as food go, which we will probably do with third or fourth point, kind of lost count, is oils, fat. So different way how for prepare your food. So if you're not supposed to be like for fry, but you know, so you get risk factor. Now, instead of you fry your food, you need for grill them, you need for steam them, you need for roast them, you need for boil them instead of fry them for avoid the oil. Because oil gets fat, and fat leads to again the cholesterol, which is another risk factor, and also just fat and weight gain. And then another important fact, which now I see it's getting a little bit better, activity, how physically active we are. A lot of people know they correlate that to health too, but that's very important for consider, especially when you get hypertension. You get for be active, not so that one way they say no more randomly a grab a go waka once every month or whatever. You get for have a consistent routine where sometimes they go 2 or 3 times a week for a 30 minutes, whether now brisk walking, you walk a quick, or you jog, or whether they lift weights, or whether they do body weight, whatever it is for pump you up, bring your heart rate up for 30 minutes for 3 times a week. That also has been shown for improve the outcome of hypertension management greatly. And so all of these things, you do them together, and taking your medication. That's the other thing. When they do prescribe you hypertension, say, okay, the doctor them, they don't see, you don't try all anything they ask, so, and you still get elevated blood pressure, then the doctor then can recommend, say, okay, will they put you on this medication? Please do take your medication. And I talk to so many people in Sierra Leone where they tell me, say, well, I can take the medicine, but sometimes they take a no more, you know, what I feel like me they art or me they turn there, take them. Hypertension medicine, not a medicine where they ration. You cannot ration hypertension medication. When they prescribe them to you, you get to take them consistently the way how they prescribe them. If the doctor say take her once a day, you get to take her every single day, try to take her at the same time. Now, there are people, again, access to healthcare. We're not even, sometimes they need to take them consistently because they don't want to let it done. Because if you don't, the members so far they pull money for go buy other ones. So some of the challenges and barriers there. So in a ration, I say, okay, make you know done. So what take anti-dates one, take anti-dates one, take. So all of these things put together is a wonderful plan for make sure staying able for manage your hypertension. And again, with the study that what I do, it already don't show say when you put all them things there together, people then get the knowledge, they stay with them. And once they get the understanding, then they're able for implement them and for improve their health outcome and prevent complications such as stroke, heart attack, and death.
Okay, thank you very much. This now extensive field. I believe say we're not on everything now, and hopefully some other time. I hope say you will spare time for like you can talk to the people about this very important silent killer where don't take lives of many of the people in a salon. So we want for use this opportunity for tell you plenty thank you. And so you go say your last word and we say goodbye.
All right. Well, I thank you so much for the opportunity for talk about such an important topic. And I hope say with everything that we don't talk about, people then will take that into consideration and make sure that they implement some of them things there in your life. The first thing you need for do if you're not possible to know one day check it for hypertension, but you don't get a family member who get hypertension, maybe you need to go check your doctor out, go to the next pharmacist and make sure say you get your blood pressure checked. And then, you know how you stand, so you go begin make changes. And another important thing what I want to say before I left Una, even if you don't get hypertension right now, no wait state and diagnose you with hypertension. Begin do their dietary modification then before they even diagnose you with hypertension, because this is my goal. Having a family history of hypertension, I describe for keep a fitness routine. I they watch what I they eat, the sodium content and all of that, because I don't want for let I be diagnosed with hypertension. I want for prevent them before it happens. So that's very important. You know, we've had this term so many times. Prevention is key, and it's very important. And you need to engage in health promotion activities them so that you go prevent hypertension. And if you do end up with hypertension, you will manage them effectively. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate your time, and thank you all for listening.
All right, thank you very much. So family, now so we go come to the end of this program. This is not the usual program. You can get opportunity also for watching on YouTube now TPP Leone. This now a program where just there for sensitize the people and raise awareness in order for substitute doctor advice, and you need for going to hospital whenever you feel sick. So until then, I want for tell now plenty. Thank you. Bye bye. Until next week.